Welcome to 10 Minute Treasure. My name's Jeff Pospisil, and in this video, what I'm going to start doing is looking into actually running some transactions right in Patriot. And I'm going to try to do some journal entries, and I'll show you a little bit about the chart of accounts that I already set up, and pay some bills and run some deposits, and we'll see how it goes. I did not get payroll with this one because I already know how it works. It works great for payroll. But at least I'll run a manual payroll for those of you that don't want to pay for that service. All right. I did enter in a couple of transactions just to try to get a feel for it, and I'll show you what that looks like. So the first time I logged back in here, they gave me this payment screen too, and I don't think I entered in a credit card, but I might have. I can't remember. They were trying to get me to do that. So but I don't think I did. So let me show you first of all the chart of accounts, because I went ahead. By the way, this is the overview screen of the accounting, which is kind of nice. They just show you like basically your trial balance right here. So everywhere that there was any activity, and you could see also like I had those sub accounts, so you could quickly go ahead and click on those and see some more. I didn't actually run a real payroll. I just did it manually. One of the things I didn't notice until later is that there is this checklist on the side, which is kind of nice. So I did go ahead and do the checklist. There is a way to import transactions. It looks like I could have just exported my transactions from QuickBooks and did an import with a spreadsheet. So that would have been kind of neat. So I didn't do it actually. Accept online payments. I'm gonna say I had, even though I didn't. All right, then I'm gonna dismiss the checklist. Okay, dismiss the checklist. Paid bills. So these are the bills I paid most recently. So you can see there's a few of them there. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I've already added some customers, I've added some vendors. One of the things I should show you though, let me go ahead and do this. You could tell that they are super keen on getting you ready to file your any tax work. So 1099s right away, you don't have to go to a different screen. You enter the name, you enter the default account that it's most likely gonna go to, and then it's like, let's get the 1099 ready. Let's not ignore this. So I really like that. Makes it front and center and not an afterthought for when it's December or January, usually January. You could just go ahead and enter bills. You can go ahead and pay bills. So if you have bills entered, so this would be the place where I'd want to go if I wanted to enter a payment, whether it's electronic or if I just want to cut a bunch of checks or I want to enter checks that I've already written out. So there's a couple of ways to do this. If you go ACH, I'm going to make the date today, and let's just say I went to Walmart. There would be no receipt number. I went ahead and did it today, and I bought, I'm gonna run stuff out of the youth fund. $50. And if I want to add a comment, I would say youth group supplies, maybe. And since I pay this by, well, I wouldn't be ACH, debit card. We'll say debit card. Now I will go ahead and hit save and continue, or I could go ahead and add another payment. So if I add another payment, it doesn't have to be the same one. So this is like actually if you were going through your bank statement and you saw, let's say we had another one for Walmart, and it was, this time it was not office equipment. Is there an office supplies? I'm just gonna say this is office supplies. $25.69. Office supplies. And now I'm gonna say save and continue. didn't have to be the same vendor, by the way. I could have chosen any vendor. And I'm going to go ahead and it's going to get you to the approval screen. And review payments. And it's going to put them all in one. I really didn't want that. Oh well. Live and learn. I should have put it on a different day if I wanted it differently. Or maybe I missed something. So let's go ahead and if I want to add my signature to my checks, that's kind of cool. But I'm not going to do that right now. So if I paid somebody by check, so let's just say Pastor Smith, we did his second payroll check. We're cutting it today. It's for $1,500. Paycheck. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add another one for Peggy Sue. And that came up automatically. So if I was doing a manual payroll, you need to go ahead and add the one for the payroll taxes and the payroll liability. Oh gosh, wages, let's do this. All right, so here we are. I paid $100 and the tax rate for payroll taxes is 7.65%. So the expense, this is the employer share, is 7.65. And then we have to do the withholding plus the employer share. So that'd be double that, so 15.3 and 92.35. I don't know how much. Paycheck, I'll just put paycheck there. And I'm just gonna say save and continue. And it says you have these 2 checks to pay. And do I want to approve it? I think they just sit out there too, unless you actually hit the approval. And now it's gonna say, do you want to print the checks? I'm gonna say yes. Here's the part that I wish they would plug in whatever the last paycheck or last check number is, but I think they want you to look at it. It's too easy, I think. Like with QuickBooks, they'll plug in what they think is the last paycheck number, and they want you to look at it either as you're writing the check or as you're printing the check. Are you sure? Yes. All right. So that's how that works. I've only entered expenses, so that's why that looks so negative. I didn't actually fix my beginning balances either. I don't know if I go to my chart of accounts, will it let me change the beginning balance? I might have to do a journal entry in order to do that. Interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and enter a journal entry. Might as well do that. Fix the beginning balances. So let's just say I started this 2-28-26. Oops. Why is that not like that? There we go. Please. Well, that should be formatted correctly. Beginning balances. I'm having a spelling issue day. And checking. I want to increase. It's kind of interesting. Instead of the two-sided, it's kind of quasi two-sided, but not really. Savings. I'm gonna add a couple lines because I want put something in the missions fund, something in the youth fund, and then the rest of it I'm going to put in this owner's equity, which would really be like your retained earnings or unrestricted, whatever that balance is. So this is increase. This is, you see how they have that switch now? So this is an equity account, and they say increase is credit, and that's correct. Very interesting approach here. I'm going to give them $10,000 in checking. $25,000 in savings. Missions fund has $550. Youth fund has $1,450. Okay, I was curious on this. I was going to try to do the math in my head. That's why I did that last one, is to try to make it an even amount. But they give you the difference right down here at the bottom. So I do like that. I don't know why the X, I think, is just a warning. 33,000. And I could have, so I had my overall description, which is beginning balances, and then I could have optional ones too for each line. And I'm gonna post that, and that's been posted. So now when we go back to my overview, we can see the balances look a lot better. Let's go ahead and start entering in some income. All right, so let's do a deposit. And first one I want to do is deposit into savings, and I'm just going to say this is my interest. Interest, and it looks like this is where you'd also do a transfer too. The asset accounts came up first. So kind of interesting. Oh, 10.65. Post transaction. And then record another deposit. And let's go ahead and do an offering. I'm not going to enter in the offerings for all of these, but here's the checking account. Looks like this is a required field, so Sunday offering. And here is what I think is kind of the cruddy part, is I don't think you're going to be able to keep track of your donor entries here. So I'd entered in customers, and I don't see where you could do like a sales receipt, where that might still end up working. You can do invoices, and I could enter in an invoice and then record a payment for all of them. That seems like a lot of work. Maybe if you, I'm trying to think about it, like if you had them in a spreadsheet and you could just upload those transactions, maybe that would make sense. But I'm not totally for sure how I would like that. So let's just go ahead and say I just got the summary statement. I used to have a regular offering sheet that I liked to use and would recommend to people. Say $1,000, unpledged giving $250, and maybe somebody gave to the missions fund. All right. I don't know if I explained this, but when I work with a church, I like to run my donor restricted giving through the equity account. So you can see this is in the equity account. So all my transactions go right into this equity account. Actually, let's do it to the youth fund, because I think I had an expense out of there. And the reason for that is when we go back to the overview, I could see exactly how much is supposed to be in that youth fund or in that missions fund. It says 1,500. Let me trying to see how to drill down into this. So this is just the general ledger, which is kind of nice. Beginning balance, youth fund. So here it is, the beginning balance. There's maybe a different report I could run, but it shows 1,450. We added 100, and then we subtracted out 50. So if there was a report like this is what I'd like to give whoever's running the youth. So that way they know exactly how much they have to work with, plus they could see any activity. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and try to enter in. Yeah, I just don't think this receivables is going to work for keeping. Yeah, I just don't think this is going to work. If I was going to try to keep the donor records in Patriot. unless there's some kind of workaround. I just don't see it. So let's just enter one more deposit into checking, and pledge giving $26.50. You know, it's really not bad. So anonymous giving would be like if I had any cash gifts, and maybe somebody else who gave to missions $100. And I think I still have to enter in a description. Easily attach a file, which I kind of like too. So if you had the deposit slip or maybe the counter sheet, that's what I might upload there. Also the same kind of thing when I was paying bills. I wonder if how easy it is to see record past payments. All right, so I didn't see this before, but this is where I would probably go if I wanted to just enter in stuff off of the bank statement. So let's say active heating, church. Yeah, I should have just done church maintenance. I'm just going to say this is our monthly contract. I don't know if they do that, but if I had a contract for them to always do my regular work on my furnace and I just had to pay it monthly instead of whenever they came, I think that'd be okay. And let's just go ahead and record that payment. Okay, that was a lot easier than the way we did it the first time. Because if you remember the first time we went through this whole approval process, but if we were going to print the checks, that's how you'd either have to do it is enter and pay bills or enter bills and then pay bills, or this print vendor checks. So this one is that Walmart one, and it's saying it still needs to be printed. I'm just going to say dismiss because we maybe did print it. All right. So that was pretty good, actually. I thought that was interesting. It's not just a knockoff of QuickBooks. They have their own little view of how they process transactions. You can see that, like when we were posting the journal entries, there was the increase or decrease for the credits and debits. Just a bunch of little differences. All in all, not bad. The one thing I wish I could figure out a way around would be getting those donor records. I would just have to have a separate system for that. Maybe it's just a spreadsheet. Maybe it's an actual donor management system. But either way, I think I was pretty happy with everything that I saw so far. All right, till next time, see ya.